The Adventures of Chaos, Stories about a Boy with an Unusual Name, Chapter 1. The arrival of Chaos. Chaos had never been to this town before. He was used to a bustling city with tall buildings, bright lights, and lots of noise. But his parents had told him that they were moving to a quieter town, where the air was fresher and the people were friendlier. Chaos was excited to explore his new surroundings, but as they drove into the town, he couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. The town was small and quiet, with neat rows of houses and few cars on the road. There were no skyscrapers or bright lights, just a few shops and a park in the center. Chaos wondered how he would ever find anything exciting to do in this town. As they pulled up to their new house, Chaos's parents told him to unpack and get settled while they went to run some errands. Chaos didn't want to stay cooped up in the house all day, so he decided to take a walk and explore the town on his own. He walked down the street, passing by houses that looked all the same to him. He didn't see any other kids outside playing or riding bikes. Everyone seemed to be inside, doing something quiet and boring. Chaos was starting to feel a little lonely when he heard a sound coming from the park. He followed the sound and saw a group of kids playing basketball. Chaos walked over and watched them play for a while, but he didn't know how to join in. After a few minutes, one of the kids noticed Chaos standing there and asked him if he wanted to play. Chaos felt nervous but excited at the same time. He had never played basketball before, but he was willing to give it a try. As he played, Chaos felt a rush of adrenaline. He had never felt so free and alive before. He didn't care about the routines or schedules that everyone else seemed to follow. He was in the moment, enjoying the thrill of the game. After the game, Chaos walked home with a sense of accomplishment. He had made new friends and discovered that there was more to this town than he had originally thought. He couldn't wait to see what other adventures awaited him in this new place. The first day of school. Chaos was nervous as he walked into his new school on the first day. He didn't know anyone and wasn't sure what to expect. As he made his way to his classroom, he noticed that the other kids seemed to be following a strict routine. They hung up their coats and backpacks in designated cubbies, sat down at their desks, and started working on their assignments without a second thought. Chaos, on the other hand, felt stifled by the routine. He wanted to explore the classroom and get to know his new classmates, but the teacher had already started the lesson. As he sat at his desk, listening to the teacher's instructions, Chaos couldn't help but feel frustrated. When it was time for recess, Chaos eagerly ran outside to play with the other kids. But once again, he found himself struggling to fit in. The other kids seemed content to play the same games every day, following the same rules and routines. Chaos wanted to do something different, to break out of the monotony. He suggested playing a game of tag, but the other kids looked at him like he was crazy. "We don't play tag," one of them said. "It's against the rules." Chaos felt like an outsider. He didn't understand why everyone had to follow such rigid rules and routines. He wanted to be free to explore and try new things. As the day went on, Chaos's frustration only grew. He struggled to stay focused on the lessons and found himself getting into trouble with the teachers for not following the rules. He couldn't help but feel like he didn't belong in this school. At the end of the day, Chaos walked home feeling dejected. He didn't know how he was going to make it through the rest of the school year if he couldn't even fit in on the first day. But as he sat down to dinner with his family, he realized that he wasn't going to give up that easily. He was going to find a way to be himself and find his place in this new school, no matter how rigid the rules and routines seemed. Chapter 3. The Secret Garden. As Chaos wandered around the school during lunchtime, he stumbled upon a hidden garden tucked away behind the building. The garden was full of tall trees, flowers, and even a small pond with fish swimming in it. It was a serene oasis in the midst of the strict and structured school environment. Chaos couldn't resist exploring the garden further. He climbed trees, chased butterflies, and ran around in circles. It felt like a world away from the strict rules of the school. Suddenly, he heard a giggle from behind a bush. He peeked around the corner to see two other kids, a boy and a girl, also playing in the garden. They looked up at him and smiled, and Chaos realized he had found kindred spirits. They introduced themselves as Max and Lily, and together they explored the garden, finding hidden paths and secret spots. They played games that Chaos had never heard of before, like flower tag and hide and seek among the trees. For the first time since he started at this school, Chaos felt like he belonged somewhere. As the days went on, Chaos and his new friends continued to explore the garden during their lunch breaks. They even started to bring along other kids who felt like they didn't fit in at school. The garden became a secret hideaway for them, a place where they could be themselves and escape the strict rules of the school. But Chaos couldn't shake the feeling that they were breaking the rules. He worried that they would get caught and punished for exploring the garden. He knew that the teachers wouldn't approve of their behavior, and he didn't want to get in trouble. Despite his worries, Chaos kept coming back to the garden. He couldn't resist the freedom and joy he felt there. And as he played with his new friends, he realized that breaking the rules didn't always have to be a bad thing. Sometimes, it was the only way to truly be yourself. Chapter 4, The Great Escape. Chaos and his friends had been meeting in the secret garden for weeks, but they were growing restless. They wanted to explore more of the town, to see what else was out there beyond the strict routines of their school. One day, they decided to make a plan to escape. They would sneak out of school during recess and run away, exploring the town on their own. Chaos was nervous but also excited. He had never done anything like this before. When the day arrived, Chaos and his friends snuck out of school and started running. They didn't know exactly where they were going, but they were eager to explore. They ran through the streets, past buildings and stores, and even climbed up a tree to get a better view of the town. They felt like they were on top of the world, free to do whatever they wanted. As they continued to explore, they stumbled upon an abandoned building. The door was locked, but they found a way to climb through a window. Inside, it was dark and musty, but they didn't care. They explored the building, climbing over old furniture and searching for hidden treasures. Chaos was having the time of his life, but he couldn't help but worry about getting caught. What if they were caught by the police? What if their parents found out? He knew that they were breaking the rules and that there would be consequences. As the sun began to set, Chaos and his friends realized it was time to head back to school. They ran back through the town, their hearts pounding with excitement and fear. When they arrived back at school, they snuck back in, feeling relieved that they hadn't been caught. Chaos and his friends never talked about the Great Escape again, but it remained a cherished memory for Chaos. He had felt truly alive, free from the strict rules and routines of his school. And even though he knew it was risky, he couldn't help but feel like it was worth it. Chapter 5, The Mystery of the Missing Pet. Chaos was sitting in the secret garden, playing with Lily's pet rabbit, when she suddenly realized that it was missing. Chaos could see the panic on Lily's face as she frantically searched for her beloved pet. Without hesitation, Chaos offered to help Lily find the missing rabbit. They searched high and low, asking neighbors and looking in every nook and cranny they could find. But there was no sign of the rabbit anywhere. As they continued their search, Chaos and Lily discovered some of the town's secrets. They stumbled upon a hidden alleyway filled with street art and met a group of skateboarders who showed them some of their tricks. They even found an old man who told them stories about the town's history. Despite their many adventures, they still hadn't found the rabbit. Chaos was starting to lose hope, but he could see how important this was to Lily. He knew they had to keep looking. Finally, as they were exploring a nearby park, they heard a faint sound coming from under a bush. They carefully moved the branches aside and there was the rabbit, safe and sound. Lily was overjoyed and gave Chaos a huge hug. As they made their way back to Lily's house, Chaos realized that there was still so much more to uncover in this town. He had discovered that there was more to life than just following rules and routines. He was excited to continue exploring and finding new mysteries to uncover. Chaos and Lily were now closer than ever before, having shared such a thrilling adventure together. They knew that there was no limit to what they could achieve, as long as they worked together and stayed curious about the world around them. Chapter 6, The Ultimate Prank. Chaos and his friends were sitting in the secret garden, brainstorming ideas for a prank. They all agreed that the school principal was too strict and needed to be taken down a peg or two. That's when Chaos came up with the ultimate prank. The plan involved fake spiders, a smoke bomb, and a giant inflatable chicken. Chaos and his friends spent hours preparing everything, making sure that every detail was perfect. They were nervous, but also excited to see the principal's reaction. On the day of the prank, Chaos and his friends snuck into the principal's office before school started. They strategically placed the fake spiders around the room, set off the smoke bomb, and put the inflatable chicken in the center of the room. When the principal arrived at his office, Chaos and his friends were hiding behind a nearby bookshelf, waiting to see what would happen. The principal walked in, saw the fake spiders and smoke, and was completely shocked. Then he saw the giant inflatable chicken and couldn't help but burst out laughing. Chaos and his friends couldn't believe how well the prank had worked. They high-fived each other and quickly made their escape before the principal could figure out who was responsible. As Chaos walked home, he felt a sense of accomplishment. He had always been viewed as a troublemaker, but now he had proven that he could use his creativity and imagination for good. He felt like he finally belonged in this town, and he couldn't wait to see what other adventures awaited him. Chapter 7. The Big Decision. Chaos's parents sat him down one evening and told him the news. They had been offered a job in another town, and they were considering moving. Chaos felt his heart sink at the thought of leaving this town, where he had finally found a sense of belonging and adventure. For days, Chaos struggled with what to do. On one hand, he knew that moving with his family meant being with the people he loved and the comfort of familiarity. On the other hand, staying behind meant continuing to explore this town and discovering new things about himself. Chaos spent time with his friends, exploring the town and trying to soak up as much of it as he could before he had to make a decision. He also talked to his parents, expressing his desire to stay behind. His parents were hesitant at first, worried about leaving their son behind in a new place. But Chaos was adamant. He had found a sense of purpose and adventure here that he didn't want to give up. In the end, Chaos's parents agreed to let him stay behind, with the understanding that they would visit often and keep in close contact. Chaos was overjoyed at the news and spent the next few days planning his next adventure. As he walked through the town, Chaos knew that there was still so much left to discover. He felt a sense of excitement and anticipation, knowing that he was staying behind to continue exploring this place and himself. With a newfound sense of confidence and purpose, Chaos set off on his next adventure, eager to see what the future held.